Hey, everybody. This is Dr. Patrice Buckner Jackson, but you can call me PBJ. Welcome to another episode of Heart Work with PBJ, where we are disrupting burnout and compassion fatigue and overwhelm and all of those burdens that hold us down so we cannot do the work that we were created and called to do. My friend, it is always my prayer and my goal that when you come here, you are refreshed, you are revived, and you know that somebody hears your heart. So thank you all for always coming along, for listening, for responding, for commenting. Listen, if you haven't already, you need to subscribe wherever you listen. Make sure that you are sharing this episode with somebody who needs it. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Ask your questions. I always love engaging with you all in the comments, so I would love to hear from you. Today, y'all, listen, today is an honor for me. Today, I have the honor of introducing you all to a woman who has made such a difference in my life. You all know that I believe in counseling, coaching, and community. And today, you get to meet one of my coaches and to hear the brilliance and the power that comes from her and why I'm so grateful to have her in my life. So, before I bring her forward, let me read her bio so that you can get to know her a little bit more. Jateya Jones is a conduit for clarity and an alchemist with authenticity. Fondly known as your favorite business coach's secret weapon, yes, she is. Jateya serves as the founder and executive director of Fore Incorporated and the CEO of Jateya Jones Consulting, designed to empower visionaries with clarity. Jateya revolutionizes how multi-passionates approach entrepreneurship. As a strategic and communication consultant, she blazes a path for the multi-skilled to clearly articulate who they are and what they do so that they can gain the confidence and courage needed to embrace their uniqueness, course correct, and unlearn in order to thrive. Serving as your personal guide for self discovery, Jateya ignites waves of impact and change, creates a rippling effect for healing and prosperity, and holistically closes gaps within traditional industries, but not. I'm sorry, but in non traditional ways. So let me read that one more time. Holistically closes gaps within traditional industries, but in non traditional ways. My friends, I have the honor today to introduce you all to Jateya Jones. Jateya, Coach, thanks for joining us in the Hard Work community.
Thank you. You made me sound so good. I was like, oh.
Listen, you are. So before I even ask you a question, I always have to do this. So you all, I was in a coaching program and I've talked to you all about Purpose to Platform, and Jateya Jones is one of the coaches in that program. And this was when I'm like, okay, I know God is calling me to something, but I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it is. I just feel like I'm supposed to be doing something. And I remember reaching out to Jateya and I said, I'm all over the place. I've done this and I've done this and I do this and I care about this. And she said, you're not all over the place. She said, that makes sense. All of that makes sense. And in a 1 minute voice note, she brought all of my pieces to clarity and all of my things that I've done and that I do and that I've been involved in. Just, I could see the connection, and literally everything just took off from there. Everything from the podcast to this book that I'm starting to write to speaking to coaching, all of it in that moment of Jateya taking my picture that I thought was scattered and bringing it all together. She gave me the gift of clarity. So I'm honored that you're here, Jateya, and I want these folks to know you because we talk about discovering your brilliance. And that's what you did for me. So let's just start at the beginning. Please tell them who you are.
Yes. Well, before I do that, I have to say thank you to you. I say all the time, you are one of my answer prayers because you allow me to see God in what I do and the purpose in what I do. And so I am just thankful and blessed that you continue the ripple to do what you do for so many others because what you do is so amazing and so many other people need you. So I just want to tell you thank you and I'm honored to be here. But with that, I'm Jateya Jones, and I am a multi passionate entrepreneur who helps other multi passionate entrepreneurs identify your superhero power, i.e., purpose, build community, and master entrepreneurship with less stress and less effort. Because if there's one thing that I can tell you for those visionaries who are overwhelmed with a multitude of world changing ideas, is that you really do one thing. You just do it in a multitude of different ways. And once you know that common thread that ties all of your passions and skills together, you'll find clarity in life and in business, and you'll go off and continue to change the world.
Oh my gosh. And I've seen this happen not just for me, but so many other women and people that you have had an impact on. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. But I also know that this comes from some place for you because you weren't always doing this work, your nonprofit, your business. So take us back. How did you get to the place of clarity for yourself?
Ooh, listen, it's been a journey. Let's start there. Because I had the same feelings of all over the place, and, people looking at you like you're a flake and telling you to focus and you need to niche down, and all of the discouraging things that make you shrink and no longer want to shine your light. But at the same time, it causes you to feel suffocated because you have this burning desire in your gut, like in the core of you, that I'm destined for more, and you really don't know what it is. You really can't see it, feel it, articulate it, to say the least. And so that all over the place that everybody else sees is us just naturally on a journey of trying to figure it out. And so we go, "Oh, I like this. Oh, I like this." And the shiny object syndrome, right? And then I also tell people that I was born into survival mode. I was born to a single mother who did what she had to do to make ends meet so that my brother and I could have the best life possible. But with that, I learned to hustle and grind. I knew how to make money, but it was short money. It wasn't the consistency that I needed. And so I hopped from thing to thing to thing because I was looking for the thing that was going to catapult me into being able to actually prosper in purpose, not just work or have a job. And so it really was a journey of me doing all the things. I'm a certified bartender. I'm a certified nail tech. I have a background in public health. I have a background in technical communication. I worked for the military for over 15 years. Like my resume goes on and on and on. And I always hated being the person that was like, me too. I can relate to that, but I really could because I had done so much. But one day, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of myself.
Mm,
I was in my own way. I was burnt out. I was tired. I didn't have the time or the income to do the things that I wanted to do. Help family, help friends, go on trips, just experience life because I was in hustle and grind. And like I said, it was short money, right?
mhm,
So it paid the bills, but it didn't propel me to what I knew I was destined for. I knew I was called for more. I meant to live a life of opulence. Like that's
mhm,
just I was like, I feel it in my bones, right? But I wasn't doing that. I wasn't living up to the purpose that I felt in my gut that I couldn't identify or articulate. So I'm sitting in cube land where my soul was literally dying
mm,
in a world of follow the leader. And half the time I'm looking around like nobody else sees this. Does this not make sense to anybody else but
mm,
me? And allowing them to misuse my skills and gift, i.e., not use them. Um, and I was just like, this isn't it. And so I came across Patrice Washington, and I was like, oh, this price tag. I was like, I had invested in myself, but it was $50 here, $100, nothing substantial. But it was nagging in my gut that she was the answer to my issue.
Mm,
And that was the first time I truly invested in me. And I had to pray about that price tag because that money was already spent.
mhm.
But I entered and I was open and I was committed to learning and doing. So in Cubeland, I would be whispering when it was time for meetings because I was not going to miss what I done paid a lot of money for in my mind.
Come on.
And I was like, I was just determined that this is it. This is when I'm going to do the work. And that began the ripple effect for me. It began a healing process. It began um my eyes being open to so many things.
Mhm,
And I went in trying to figure out how to make money doing what I do, right? And at that time, I was the natural networker and I was helping students and introverts network because I felt like that was like our secret sauce. And she was like, no, 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 that's not what you do. And I was like, I didn't pay you for this. But I said I was open, I was committed, and I listened. And she was like, you do clarity. And so at that point, the dots began to connect and opportunities started to come and doors started to open. And the clarity came more in the doing. The more I
mhm.
did, the more clear I got. Um, of course, situational fog comes with clarity because then you get all these downloads and you're like, ooh, this, and you're confused again. But you just keep wading through the water, and it brought me to today and my purpose. And I'm clearer now than ever, but every other day, God is bringing another download, and it's like, oh, now it's time for the next.
Yeah.
So, but that's my journey
Mm,
and not so short of a summary, but it was a journey. It was
yeah.
years, borderline a decade of me trying to figure it all out. And so now I'm committed to helping shorten that timeline for others. Um,
Yes.
once you know what you do, you literally can change the world and you can make money doing you.
Oh my gosh. So I'm living proof. I'm
Mhm.
living proof of what clarity can do because we met Jatia in January 2021.
Oh,
So it's been barely over a year, and my life is unrecognizable compared to what it was.
mhm.
So I am a witness and a testimony to what clarity can do. There were so many gems in what you just shared, and there's just a few that I want to pick up. You started by saying that you were sick and tired of yourself.
Listen.
Now, I know that when I hit rock bottom and when I was in burnout, the first thing I wanted to do was blame everybody. I wanted to blame everybody. They misused me. They didn't respect me. They didn't honor me. They overloaded me. And I finally, after a couple of weeks of that, got to the place where I recognized that I was the common denominator because different people in different spaces, in different places, in different seasons of my life, the same thing was happening, and I was the common denominator. So it started with me taking the responsibility and saying, wait a minute, people are going to be people, but I'm responsible for me.
Mhm.
I'm responsible for my purpose. I'm responsible for my future. So for me to bring that in and say, I can't, nope, I can't focus on what anybody else did or did not do. If this is going to change, it is on me.
Mhm.
It is on me. So I appreciate that. And then you went on to say how you were in a space that didn't recognize your gifts and did not recognize what your purpose and what you had to bring to the table. And so often we teach that burnout comes because you're busy and you got too much going on your calendar and you need to take some stuff off your calendar. But I'm here to tell you there's more on my calendar now than there's ever been. But because it's purpose, because it's connected to what I was created to do, I'm fine. I feel
Mhm.
good. I'm ready to do it again. So it's not as much, and you can burn out in purpose too,
Yeah.
but most of the time, it's not how much you're doing, it's what you're doing. If you are not in a space that you are allowed to share and to do that thing that you were created to do, that superpower that you call it, that purpose, that secret sauce, if that is being stifled, then you are going to feel like you're drowning.
Mhm.
You're going to feel like you're drowning. And it's not because you're busy. It's not because your calendar's full. It's because your calendar's full of the wrong thing.
Come on.
It's because your calendar's full of the wrong thing. And then the last gem out of that I wanted to pick out, you talked about being in Q land and persevering. Oh, I'm going to be on these coaching calls. Or I am going to be a part of this training. If I have to whisper, if I have to have one earpiece in, I'm going to get this. Like, I'm doing this. I made the investment and I'm doing this. That determination and that perseverance. We want purpose, but we don't want to work.
Come on.
We don't want to do what it takes. We don't want to make the investment, even the investment into the coaching, right? Because you were talking about having short money, and as a result of having short money, you were investing short money, a
Mhm.
training here, a video here, a workshop there. But when you decided to make a bigger investment financially, time wise, and otherwise, you got a bigger return.
Mhm.
So it's gonna cost. Purpose is gonna cost you something.
Listen.
Yeah.
Listen. And I realized I was spending the short money because it allowed me to DIY in the dark. And when you make a real investment in yourself, it forces you to come to the light. And it's like, okay, now I can't hide. I can't just have this so-called pipe dream. I
Mhm.
have to accept it as an assignment. I have to do something with it. I
Mhm.
can't hide anymore.
Mhm.
And when you've been conditioned to dim your light and shrink for so long and just play the role and show up how others have conditioned you to instead of who you know you really are deep down inside, it's uncomfortable. It
Yeah.
feels wrong. It feels strange. And so
Mhm.
it's easy to spend the quick money because I can DIY in the dark and just
Mhm.
cross my fingers, eyes, and toes that it works. But if it
Mhm.
doesn't, I haven't wasted a lot of money. So I won't feel some type of way. When
Mhm.
you invest in yourself, for real, for real, for real, it's triple fold and it's quick. That
Yeah.
transformation is unbelievable. It's just like literally night and day.
Yeah. It's acceleration. It's a
Mhm.
celebration because you look at it and it feels like I've got so much to do before I get there.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, I do want to speak. I love to speak, but I'll do that once I retire. Like, I'll finish this and, we'll have the retirement benefits coming in, and then I'll be able to maybe speak and write a book every now and then, da da da. But when you truly invest in every way, you experience acceleration. Like, I'm standing in what I thought was going to take me 20 years.
That's so good. I was actually listening to my podcast the other day,
Yes.
and I said actually, it was our episode. And I said something about my job,
Mm.
and it struck me in that moment that I was living what I used to talk about.
Come on.
Because I used to be at the job talking about leaving the job, and now literally I'm talking about past tense. Because I left the job finally. And you know how many years I told them I was leaving to the point where they didn't even believe me. But it struck me and it took me a minute to literally bask in the present moment that
Mm.
you are currently residing in, what you once dreamed about.
Listen, I mean, just taking a moment to think about that, because we look at folks who seem to be walking in what they love. And I remember being a young professional, and people would say, if you find what you love to do, you'll never work another day in your life. I'm like, that's cute, but I don't want to hear that, because run me my check. Like, I'm not trying to, like, this is work. This is all work, but it's real.
Mhm. Mm,
It's real. Do we work? Yes. Do we invest? Absolutely. But I love every minute of it. The women that we get an opportunity to coach, the people that we get an opportunity to engage in, the teenagers that you serve. I mean, this is all purpose. And when it looked like it was going to be such a long path, that acceleration, and I'm still on the path, I'm still developing, but purpose is just exploding as I develop. So you don't just get there one day, like I'll just arrive there one day. No, it evolves. It's just along the path as you go. Oh, I'm getting too excited. Okay, all right, bring it back, PBJ. Jatia, tell us, help us understand, because many of our listeners, they are still working, and we're not saying you have to leave your job,
No.
right? Because there might be space for you to do what you're created to do in the work that you're doing right now. But when we say clarity, they might not understand what we're talking about. So,
Mm,
can you help us understand what you mean by clarity? What is clarity and what's the power of clarity?
definitely. So I guess I'll start with just saying the ABCs to clarity. A is accept, B is believe, C is connect the dots from your past, present to your future, as well as connect with community. And if you do those three things, clarity will come. And what we mean by clarity is you can clearly see the vision. So how earlier I spoke about I knew I was destined for more, but I just couldn't, I didn't know what it was. It was a feeling. That feeling will transmute into a vision.
Mhm.
And you will literally be able to see it. You definitely, I was going to say probably not. You definitely won't know how to get over there just yet. But it becomes clearer. And it's like being in the forest and you can see the trees right in front of you. But when the fog clears, you can see the mountains
Mm.
in the distance.
Yeah.
And that peak is what you're headed for.
Mhm.
And just like when you get on a plane, all of a sudden you can see the whole city, right? And the higher you go up, all of a sudden all you see are clouds.
Mhm.
And you feel like you're in fog and you can't see, but eventually you arrive to your destination. And normally when we're on a plane, we're going somewhere fun. We're going to a vacation or somewhere. So you land in paradise. And
Oh.
that's clarity. Clarity becomes the yellow brick road that is this map for you to walk towards your destiny, your future, what you were placed on earth to do.
Mhm.
And you can bask in being you, and it fills your cup, and you overflow it with so much joy, peace, and prosperity
Mhm.
once you have clarity.
Mm.
Once you have clarity. And so that's how I describe it because it's more of a feeling, but it literally is going from standing in front of a brick wall to taking two steps to the right to be able to walk through your door of destiny. That's what clarity does for you. And all of those things that you thought you were doing all over the place, all of a sudden make sense. And you literally see this yellow brick road, one lane that you just have to follow. And just like in The Wizard of Oz, it doesn't come without challenges, right? They had challenges every step of the way, pretty much.
Mhm.
And I'm going to talk about the version with Michael Jackson and how every time they took a step, it lit up, right? And that's what happens. Clarity's in the doing. The more you do, for my perfectionist, I'm a recovering perfectionist. You gotta do the thing. We can't wait till it's perfect to you gotta do and you refine
Mm.
as you do. And that's what the action verb to perfect means to refine. It means you got to do something and then tweak it and
Yeah.
do it again. And that you're refining it until it's polished and then you will reach perfection. But you can't just all of a sudden come out with something perfect. So
Mm.
it's a journey, but it is when the yellow brick road starts to light up towards your destiny. That's clarity.
Yeah. You all have heard me say that clarity comes in the doing. Now you know where it came from. Okay, this comes from Jateya Jones, and it just opened everything for me because so I come from the education industry, and specifically in areas where there's not a lot of room for failure. Okay. So you're learned and conditioned. Like, I need to know exactly how this is going to happen before I do anything. Like, I need to know the A to the Z before I take the first step, because this cannot fail. Somebody's red penning your paper, or you're sitting in front of a dissertation committee, or you're peer reviewed this or that, or the Senate, or all the things you have to do. We're not used to stepping and learning as we go. And I taught even my students, when I talk to my students, especially when they get to the point of graduation. So right now we're celebrating lots of graduations, and it never fails. It never fails. We have this conversation of, what am I going to do next? Like, what am I supposed to do with my life? And they're so afraid to take one step.
Mm.
Is this the purpose? Is this what I'm supposed to do for the next 30 years? Honey, we don't know, and you won't know until you take a step. Clarity doesn't come in the thinking, clarity comes in the doing. So
Mm.
you take a step, you learn, you revise, you change, or you keep going. You take another step. If that feels good, then you keep going. That's how this works. And that's how we pour the best out of us, when we trust to just take that step. I remember there was a part of my life in my young adulthood where I moved from South Carolina, where I'm from, to Texas. Just had
Mm.
to get out. Just had to go. Oh, whew. And I remember wrestling with the decision. And I had a friend say to me, and I never forgot this. He said, "How you gonna walk on water if you never step out of the boat?" It's like, you'll never know. You'll never know until you do. And
Mm.
it ended up being one of the best things, one of the best learning experiences in my whole entire life. But I could have stifled everything by refusing to take that one step. So I love that you say clarity is in the doing. So what do we do with this clarity? Once we've been able to connect the dots and, like, okay, now this makes sense. This is kind of what I do, what I've been doing. I didn't know it was purpose, but this is what I've been doing. Whether you're still in your job or whether you're going, what do I do with this newfound clarity?
Mm. So before I answer that, let me rewind just a little bit, because I didn't know we had that similarity. But I'm from a small town in Georgia, and I got the opportunity, and I ran to DC, and it was the best decision of my life. And so many people all of a sudden was like, "Oh, we can get you a job here paying that." And I was like, "Well, where were y'all?" Because I was working 3 jobs.
Come
And
on.
this, I had a car with no automatic windows. So I'm sweating, rolling up windows, going to job interviews, right? And so I want to say people love out of fear. And they will give you advice based on things that they don't have the confidence and courage to do. And most of those of you who do the hard work are visionaries. You're going to be taking a path that many have never taken before. Or you may take this path that somebody started breaking down the brush, but your assignment is to finish tearing down the brush and pave the path for those to come behind you. So you'll be doing things a little bit differently. And that's why it's so important to take that step and to do the thing, right? And so, with that being said, once you have this clarity, the first thing you need to do is to do. It becomes a snowball effect of your confidence and your courage. So you can continue to do that hard work that everybody else is afraid to do and going to tell you, maybe you shouldn't do it that way, or no, don't quit your job, or you know what, you need to, and you'll be confident and be able to stand in your vision because God gave you the vision. He didn't give it to everybody else. And sometimes we really want people to understand. And so we over explain, trying to get people to understand and be on our side. You don't need their understanding. You just want their support. You want them to believe in you. Some will, some won't. So, in all honesty, when you're going through that first stage of acceptance, you're going to go through a purging season. You're going to have to let go of some people, places, and things that you thought were going to be at the finish line with you. But I promise you, those seats will be filled with people that are there to help you on your assignment, people that understand you, people that will support you, people you probably never met day in your life. Okay. but they'll be there for you. They'll be your backbone to push you along the way and guide you. So take the step, because nobody can tell you what to do. I tell clients all the time, who gonna check you, boo? Who? So you asking this question like, what am I supposed to do? And I don't know what to do. And just do. Who gonna check you? Again, it's your vision. It's meant for you to do. It's meant for you to be the blueprint. Because it probably doesn't exist already. The television didn't exist before it did. The cell phone didn't exist before it did. And it's gone through so many transformations. I don't know if you guys remember my dad had the big black bag that was borderline like a duffel bag. And now they little itty bitty things, right? From the flip to a whole computer, pretty much. You're gonna go through pretty much the same transformation. So once you have this clarity, just blindly take the first step. And then they can be baby steps, and you'll start to feel confident in yourself. You'll start to feel that courage, and you'll be like the little engine that could. And all of a sudden, you're just trucking along. And that's the best advice that I could tell you. The dots will start to make more sense, and you'll be able to, those painful moments, because the good and the bad happens for you, not to you, for you. You'll be able to see like, whoo, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. So for me, for example, when I got ready to go to DC, I was like, oh, okay, leave my boyfriend and all the things. Shit, today I'm like, Lord, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. He was not meant to go on this journey with me. You could see what I couldn't see. And so we just have to blindly walk in faith and do. There really is no, big, thing that I could tell you. It's to start blindly taking that next step and be confident in your decision. Trust your gut again.
Ooh.
Life will knock you down and cause you not to trust it. And then all of a sudden you're telling yourself, I knew I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I knew I shouldn't have. And you start to get used to saying that to the point where you're saying I shoulda, but then you do the same thing again and not listen to your gut, because we think we're confused, but God doesn't give you a spirit of confusion. You're confused by the outside noise because you're listening to the wrong things. Listen to yourself, listen to that intuition, and that next step will only be your best step.
Look, that's a whole word. Somebody pass the collection plate. Let's give the benediction. I'm over here with tears in my eyes. That's a whole word. And that's why I call you coach. That's a
Mm,
whole word. I know that many heart workers,
mm,
many of us are rule followers,
yeah.
right? Like, not only do we want to take care of everybody, but we want everybody to be okay. So, in order for everybody to be okay, we got to stay within the lines, and we got to make everybody happy and be the people pleasers and all of this. So, stepping forward in purpose can be really scary,
Mm,
because it might be the first time that we've stepped out of that comfort zone, stepped out of bounds, colored outside the lines, done something that the folks who love us, who really truly love us, don't understand.
mhm,
And that can be unnerving and that can be scary. But I'm here to tell you that that step is critical, it's necessary, and it's worth it.
mhm.
It's
'Cause
worth it. Go ahead.
it's more than, oh my goodness. Like, yes, yes, I'm glad you said that, because whew, the peace, the joy. It's a feeling that you really can't explain sometimes, but before all of that, it does come with some hurt.
Mhm.
I like to say that those of us that are breaking negative generational cycles, which normally hard workers do, I've hashtagged us black sheep,
Mm.
because not that we are doing anything to hurt people or make people dislike us. Half of the time we're like, what did I do? But it's because your light shines so bright that it causes others to be mad because they can't hide anymore. Or it shines a light on their insecurities. It shines a light on what they're afraid to do. So they're really not upset with you. They're upset with
Mhm.
themselves, and it's displaced hurt and anger. And so especially those that love you sometimes become the ones that hurt you the most along this.
Mhm.
But just know when you get there, everybody's gonna be like, I knew her when.
Yes, they will.
I knew her when. So just keep, you have to persevere. You have to keep going. You have
Mhm.
to keep going.
Yeah. And it's for them too.
Yeah.
They need that light. They don't like it. I heard one of our sisters, Lindsay Ray Perry, she said, when you step into a dark room with a light, anybody who's in there that's used to darkness, their eyes have to adjust, but
Ooh,
they will adjust.
ooh, that's a whole word. Yes.
They will adjust. They will adjust. So we have to love our people enough,
Hmm.
and not just the people, because we talk about convenient community and power community, right? You got to love your people, your family, your neighbors, your convenient community, the people that you were placed and connected with, but also the people you're called to serve. We have to love our people enough to step out on faith and do the thing.
And be
To
that.
do the thing. Because when you step out and do the thing, you bless all your people,
Come on.
including yourself.
Including yourself. And you really, they say there's no testimony without test. And once you show the power and the goodness of faith
Come
and
on.
the results of that, everybody wants a taste. Everybody, because it's like when you go in the kitchen and there's nothing in there to anybody else, and you come out with a 5-course meal and it's banging. How did you do that? Somebody please teach me.
Yes.
The people will come, they will start to pay you to do this thing, and everybody else is looking like, can I get a taste of that? Can you
Hmm.
bottle that out for me? So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
I love it. Talk to us about how you serve folks through Jateya Jones Consulting and also your nonprofit. Like, you have so much going on. So how do you serve and who do you serve?
Definitely. So across the board, the easy way is I help with clarity on your strategy and how to communicate it, so that you can start this ripple effect of letting other people walk in their purpose to help you, help them, help everybody.
Mhm.
Um, and so I do that mainly through coaching. Um, I have the Plan to Win planner that really helps you break down these visions and goals past just the big chunks. I tell people all the time, someone can tell you to go make a salad and you're like, okay, dump everything in the bowl, but they don't tell you got to clean the cucumber, chop the cucumber, dice the tomato, get out the lettuce, get out the dressing, get out the crew. Like there's multiple different steps
Yeah.
underneath this big chunk of a goal. And the planner is designed to help you win in life and in business. Literally in life and business. It's broken down from personal to professional. And so that is the main way. I take that concept and I teach it across the board. And so soon and very soon we'll be launching the Plan to Win incubator, which is the hand holding that I wish I had to actually guide me in the how.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you know what you do, you naturally do it, but you don't know how to prosper in it. And there are some steps and things that you can do. And so that's what I normally do. And for the youth, clarity. I remember when I went to college, I was like, oh, I was chasing the money. I was like, I'm gonna go be an engineer. And they gave this first assignment, and I was like, SOS somebody. And I called a friend's boyfriend who was an engineer, and I was like, I'm so sorry. It is 1 a.m. Can you please come to the student center and help me? And he looked at it and in 2 seconds made a scale out of a rubber
Mm.
band, a paper clip, and a pencil. And I was like, Lord, this ain't for me. And so I changed my major like 5 times, it feels like. And my heart is just to help the kids not have to do that, to not
Mhm.
have to stress. I know so many who literally have conniptions about choosing a major, and it's like a life or death situation. And I'm like, no, it really isn't. You can change your mind. It's okay, breathe. And so to
Mhm.
really help them get clear in what they do so they can decide what direction they need to go. My whole goal is to help us do what we do with less stress and less effort, because a lot of times we spin our wheels going nowhere
Mhm.
until we get that help. And so that's my goal, whether you're young and youth and teenager, or whether you're my age and or older. And so that's what I do and how I do it. And so you can find me at allthingsjateyajones.com. And I love to just help visionaries. They're multi-passionates, but most people
Yes.
don't call themselves multi-passionates. But a multi-passionate is a person that's passionate about a lot of things. You do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But you're also known as a visionary
Yeah.
with world-changing ideas.
Mm, I
And
love
you're like, I know this thing will work, but because business is so traditional and it's boxed up and packaged this way, you don't know how to break through that to help them. You see
it.
things differently. Some people focus on this part of the problem and this part of the problem. And as a visionary, you have a holistic approach to solving this problem that truly solves the problem, not just put a band aid on it. And so I love working with multi passionate entrepreneurs um, who, 9 times out of 10, you've had a million hobbies, calling them businesses, but they haven't really profited. You made a little bit of money, but not a lot of money. And those are the people that I love to serve. Those
Mm,
that help and heal in some type of way of whatever they do.
I love it. Listen, all of those links will be in the show notes and in the description here so that you can reach out to Jateya Jones. I am a witness. Oh gosh, I wish I had you when I was a teenager. Oh, if I had this when I was a teenager. But I know that every step was purposeful. So I accept it as it is. But I'm here to tell you, since I met this woman, and since I had the opportunity to engage with her and to seek clarity with her, everything in my life has accelerated. Everything. So I want that for every single one of you as heart workers. You can be overwhelmed and burn out just because you haven't found that thing. You
Mhm,
haven't connected the dots. You don't know what you were created to do. You haven't put your finger on that superpower, or you don't know what to do with it.
mhm,
You might know what it is, but you don't know how to walk it out, what the next step might be, or what to do, what that doing is for you. I would encourage you to reach out to Jateya Jones because I'm here to tell you she is anointed and appointed to help you get to clarity and determine those next steps. So, Jateya, thank you.
thank
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. Thank you for what you mean to me. Thank you for your yes, so that you were in place when I came along.
you.
I'm
Thank
so grateful. I'm so grateful. Friends, as always, you know that you are powerful, you are significant, and you are loved. Look, you are significant. Your thing is necessary.
you.
What you were called to do in the way that you were created to do it, we need it. And it's time for you to identify it and it's time for you to walk in it. So let's get this clarity. All right. Love always. PBJ. Bye, y'all.